October 1997, the attention of the water skiing world was firmly fixed on the still city of Newcastle, celebrating their bicentenary and as part of the festivities, hosting the opening and closing rounds of the 10th International Ski Racing Federation's World Waterski Racing Championships. Competitors from 10 countries converged on Newcastle, the opening ceremony the first and last official function before the team set about the task of claiming the world titles up for grabs. Could Australia's Leanne Brown create history by winning an unprecedented third world title in a row? Could the Americans halt the Aussie onslaught? Or was it going to be European dominance? It would all unfold in the next 7 days. And they're racing in the first of the men's races in the 10th IWSF World Waterski Racing Championships. And what a magnificent field of ski races we have. We have Australia, South Africa, Great Britain, Belgium, France and New Zealand in this front grid. Wayne Moore behind Cyclone. Nico Ulloch behind the hooker. He's from South Africa. Darren Kirkland from Great Britain behind No Mercy. Danny van der Ven behind the judge. He's from Belgium. The French skier Cici Alliouin from behind Bachelors, and Missile is towing John Scott from New Zealand. Now 20 seconds after this lead group goes, the next group of skiers will go, and they are from Canada, the United States, Italy, the Netherlands, Australia, Great Britain, and that's Patrick Bullock, Marty Wells, Carlo Casa, Tommy Clarenbeek, Daniel Campbell and Jamie Cramphorn. They will be followed by Peter Bertels, Frank Cordersch from France, Kane Everett from New Zealand, Corey Cook from the United States, David Connie from Italy and Stephen Robinson from Australia. And 60 seconds after the start, John Clements, Mika Robin, Nick DeMay and Greg Anderson from Great Britain, Belgium, New Zealand and the United States will round out this field. Joining us in commentary for the men's race, a champion water skier, many times Hawkesbury Bridge to Bridge winner. He's also skied from Brisbane to Sydney on one occasion, Danny Croppett. Danny, welcome along, and this should be a fantastic race. And this group have got the best of the water, but they probably would like it a little bit more choppier than it is now because it's a long championship.
More than definitely, Mike. It's these guys are actually really going hard, and unfortunately this will wear the boats down. There's another 3 races to go, don't forget. But mate, it's after the first lap, everything will start to rough up a bit. They will be backing off the speed a bit more, but they'll still be going pretty hard.
All right, as far as this men's field is concerned, and this is the creme de la creme. Who do you see as the main contenders as we watch Wayne Moore behind Cyclone rip past the finish line for the first time?
Well, I'll tell you what, mate, this is the guy that everyone is out there to beat. He's unbeaten this year. He's won the series. He's won nearly every selection race in Australia, and he's going to be the boy.
So Cyclone is the leader at the moment, towing Wayne Moore, and as Danny said, the man that everyone wants to beat is Wayne Moore. He's had a magnificent season, and he really is skiing very, very well. First up here in the men's race, the first race of a 4-race series. Wayne Moore, born in 1974. He first entered ski racing when he was under 10. He's a carpenter by trade. He was first in the 1996 Diamond Race in Belgium and won the 1997 Catalina Island race. And not too many Australians have been over there to win the Catalina. It's a lot rougher water, and so that's a tremendous performance. He is first in the Australian Championships this year too. Obviously, his big ambition is to win the 10th IWSF World Ski Racing Championships. His sporting heroes is Pat Rafter. And Pat Rafter in pretty good form, and Wayne Moore's in great form too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, an update in the positions here. There is Cyclone with Wayne Moore up behind. No Mercy is in second position. That's Darren Kirkland from Great Britain. And the Sting, who started 20 seconds behind this lead group, towing Daniel Campbell from Australia. They're really hooked up. They've moved up into third spot.
Well, they're going off, I tell you. There's some very, very, very good skiers out there. It's definitely not getting any smoother now. As you can see, Wayne on the screen there, he's just popping. He's just going. You've got to run from wave to wave. And the straighter you can keep yourself, the easier it is.
So skiers from countries near and far, from South Africa, from Great Britain and Belgium, France, the Kiwis are here in large numbers. We've got a very, very small contingent from Canada, two. One skier and one manager. You've always got to have a manager, don't you?
Yeah.
The Italians are here in a big way, and the Netherlands, of course, and Great Britain, and the United States. And there's our leader, Wayne Moore, doing it very, very nicely. But you can see, Danny, that ski hardly in the water now. It's just the skeg is about the only part that's in the drink.
Mate, he's incredible. He's a machine. This guy, and I'll tell you what, that's the fitness level that he's coming into now. He's going to have to be very careful with the waves and everything else. But Darren Catalan, who's sitting in the boat, mate, he's watched him for 2 years now, and I would say nearly 2 years, and he would know Wayne inside out now.
Danny, we've just heard that there is only 15 seconds between first and second, between Cyclone and No Mercy. So Wayne Moore has got his work cut out here. Even though he looks great in the water and is led from the start, Darren Kirkland is right on his tail. 15 seconds is not a great deal of time in these conditions.
No, it's not, especially, like I said, the machine is happening. You know, he's out there, he's been the bridesmaid too many times, and he wants the crown this year.
Well, he's come from 50 seconds down to narrow that gap to 15. So if we talked about car racing balance, he's hot on the pace.
Oh, yes, let me tell you.
Within the boat itself, have you got a situation where you can monitor your lap times?
There would be, but I doubt very much. With Gavin being such a good a driver and the crew being so organised the way they are, you would find that these guys would have a stopwatch. They wouldn't be caring about it. They'd just be worried about Darren Kirkland and the other guys that they know that are the problems, which is Steve Robbo.
That's him in shot there. Danny Cropper, thank you for joining us for the first half of the race. Robbie Llewellyn is about to come in, and Danny Cropper will join us all through the World Championships in 1997. Thanks, Danny. We'll catch up with you in Sydney.
Thanks, Mike.
Danny Cropper joining us. There's our boat. There's still about 20 seconds the gap between Darren Kirkland and also Wayne Moore. Wayne Moore in shot there, our race leader. You can see the tail end of Cyclone really throwing itself all over the place, and we're coming into some rough water. Robbie Llewellyn's here, and he's got a bit of a smile on his face because the Pommies are chasing hard.
I tell you what, mate, I really can't believe the performance of 17-year-old Jamie Cramphorn is putting up. He won a bronze medal in the 1995 Junior World Championships, and here he is, just 17 years of age. We just heard that there's little in it between him and Stephen Robertson, who's in third position, and of course Darren Kirkland approximately 20 seconds behind race leader Wayne Moore now. But what a tremendous race we're seeing amongst these four front runners.
Of course, the grid's a little bit further down. They start at 20 seconds, 40 seconds, and 60 seconds behind. A little bit of advantage. They can see who's in front of them and trying to narrow the gap as we're watching Darren Kirkland here. So they've got a little bit of advantage. Kirkland has run superbly today.
He's run very well, and I was speaking to Darren before the race. He was planning. He's always a very careful skier. He's been ski racing for 21 years. He's now in his 6 world titles. Look at his crew waving him on. Darren knows what he's got to do, and I'm sure that he's keeping in mind that Wayne Moore is just in front there, and he's got a little just in reserve for those last 20 minutes of the race.
We just saw the observer waving his hand, shaking his fist. Is that just a signal of encouragement?
I'm sure that's a signal of encouragement, but also a signal to egg the skier on. Darren knows that he's got to do it a little bit more, and I'm sure his driver knows that as well. His observer is just trying to persuade Darren to go that little bit faster.
Firebird now has crept up into third position, as Robbie Llewellyn has mentioned. So a great race here. We have Wayne Moore behind Cyclone out in front. Darren Kirkland from Great Britain is in second position. But there is Steve Robinson, a beautiful shot of Firebird. The observer puts his hand in the air, and Steve Robinson's observer is Barry Robertson. It really is a family affair, Robertson and Robertson. Can't go too wrong there with the commentary. But Firebird, and they've got plenty of backup support here. J&J Robinson and Sons proudly bringing us the 1997 World Championship, and you can see Steve working pretty hard, but he does look fairly relaxed.
What a great shot there, yeah. Steve, a very strong skier, very consistent skier, doesn't do anything that's too risky. We see John Clements from England going around the outside there, but look at Steve Robertson there, telling them to back down a little bit around the turn. As I say, a careful skier, wants to stay on the water, doesn't want to risk any falls.
This is our race leader, Cyclone, with Wayne Moore. Oh, and he's hit some rough water too, just throwing the big rig all over the place. But the skiers threw it like a true professional. Great skiing, and you can really see how hard both boat and skier work.
What a great skier this is. He's showing tremendous form here today. He's about 5'5" in height, very slight skier, but he's just such a tremendous athlete, Mike.
Just bounce around that brewery turn. 22 seconds, so he lost about 4 seconds on that last turn. He wouldn't have been happy with that because they were going so well. They'd increased the lead by 6 seconds in the 2 previous laps, and then to drop 4 off that, he wouldn't have been happy. But he's still out there in front. He can pick those 6 seconds up again.
Yes, he's got the lead. But look at him. What a great shot we've got here. Wayne Moore in fine form. He really is a gutsy skier, but this guy is so fit that he can pull himself back from any problems. If we take a note of Darren Kirkland, very controlled skier, and skis in a very different style to Wayne Moore, but both of these skiers tremendous in their own rights.
No Mercy is in second, Firebird is third, and they're on the last lap. The time is up, the blue flag is up, so here he is, Wayne Moore behind Cyclone on his last lap, and he gave a kind of a half victory salute when he went past the finish line there before. So he now has 3/4 of a lap to complete this race and win the first leg of this World Championship.
I think to be honest, Mike, Wayne Moore is doing this in fine style. This is a bit of a Sunday afternoon ride for him, it seems. He really is in total control of his ski, and he's doing this ever so easily. He knows he's got 1 lap to go. He knows that he's doing it ever so easily, and he knows that Darren Kirkland is at least 40 seconds behind.
So his observer just giving him a little bit of encouragement. He's pumping his fist in the air. He knows he's got this shot. You wouldn't want to make a blue here with a half a lap to go, would you?
No, I think he's got to be careful. He doesn't. He's got to maintain his concentration right to the checkered flag. He doesn't want to get too confident. We've seen skiers go in the last few hundred meters of a race. So the last thing Wayne wants to do here is sacrifice 1,000 glorious points for a bit of fist shaking.
Here he is now coming down towards the brewery turn. He'll make that turn and then head up the main straight, or he's right up towards the nose of his ski there, and you can see he's bouncing all over the place. Cyclone, they go into this last turn now, a critical last turn, and then he'll see the finish boat, the finish line. The observer just waving to him a little bit more encouragement. It's been a comprehensive performance.
It really has, and I think we can see the excitement of this team. Wayne Moore waving his fist in the air. He's winning his first ever round of the world title event. His observer waving a fist. They know they've got this race wrapped up. It's not over. They haven't got the checkered flag yet, but they know that the race is in the bag. Look at Wayne Moore.
Here he is.
Absolutely ecstatic, Mike.
Here he is, just coming up towards the finish line now. He's got the hand in the air. Wayne Moore and boat Cyclone go over the finish line now to get the checkered flag, to the giant cheers of everyone on the back, and he is pretty pumped about this. What a magnificent race by Wayne Moore. Team Cyclone from Queensland, Gavin McKay and Darren Catalan deserve a great big round of applause. Now also Steve Robinson flying over the line. Now I'm just wondering whether Steve Robinson's got up in a second spot. And the provisional placings in the first race of the men's division of the World Water Skiing Championships of 1997. Wayne Moore from Australia first, Darren Kirkland from Great Britain in second spot, and rounding out the top three, Stephen Robinson from Australia behind Firebird. Wayne, a tremendous first race and a very, very important race leading into this World Championship.
Yeah, I was so nervous going to that race, you know. That's all we've been waiting for for last year. We've been training for it, and finally we're here and we've done the first race. You know, everything went well for us. It's a black boat's first race, so happy with the boat, and you know, it was just a good start for us for the championship. About 40 minutes out, Darren Kirkland was closing. You got it within 13 seconds. Did you sense a matter of urgency then and then kicked away? Yeah, well, I sort of know that Darren would be there, and you know, I just played it. You know, we got a good start. We had a pole, so we knew we had to go for it, and we just hoped that we had enough in us, you know, just to keep that 13-second buffer in between us. And in the end, you were waving them up. You're really gung-ho on those last couple of laps. Yeah, well, you know, I hadn't raced for about 2 months, and I'd been training hard, and I didn't know how my fitness was, so I had to just sort of. I had to, you know, just judge myself for the first half an hour, and then I was feeling good, so I just went for it, you know, and we started powering on. Congratulations, all the very best for the rest of the championship. Thanks very much.
And they are racing in the second leg of the Men's World Ski Racing Championships of 1997. In screen now is our series leader, Wayne Moore of Queensland, Australia, behind Cyclone, and he's away to an absolute fly. The front row of the grid is Wayne Moore, Darren Kirkland from Great Britain, Steve Robinson of Australia, Daniel Campbell of Australia, Jamie Crampthorne of Great Britain, Mika Robin of Belgium, David Conti of Italy, and Danny Van de Ven of Belgium. The second row of the grid, Corey Cook, the United States, Kane Everett, New Zealand, Greg Anderson, the USA, John Clements, Great Britain, Carlo Casa of Italy, Tom Clarenbeek of the Netherlands, Nick DeMay, New Zealand, and Frank Gourdersch of France. And rounding out this field on the third row of the grid, that will start 40 seconds behind this front bunch, Nico Ulok of South Africa, John Scott of New Zealand, Cici Elion of France, Todd Haig standing in for Marty Wells of the United States, and Patrick Bulldog of Canada. Joining us in commentary from Australia, Danny Cropper, and from Great Britain, Robbie Llewellyn, as we see Cyclone with Wayne Moore up behind. A great race in Newcastle. He blitzed the field there, and Danny, he should revel in these conditions. He's been training off the coast of Queensland in similar conditions.
Mate, he definitely will. I'll tell you what, these conditions are very, very similar between Cairns and Green Island, which is like his hometown, and oh boy, he's already pulling the time. As you can see, look at this, he's already got 2 or 3 rope lengths on the whole field, and we're not even into the first half of the lap.
Now this is absolutely amazing, Robbie. He's just absolutely flattened it.
Wayne Moore certainly proving himself in rough conditions as well as the calm conditions we saw at Newcastle the other day. As Danny just said, pulled out an incredible lead already on the first lap and absolutely dominating this race already. Great shot of the Sting there, Cliff Priest driving, pulling Daniel Campbell. The boat looking really good in the water there. Danny, what sort of skis are these guys using out there?
Most of these guys are using timber skis today. There is a couple of fiberglass skis. Most of the skis are between 7'2" to about 7'8" long. They've got lock-in bindings, which are a hard rubber, which actually, they lock your feet into the ski. So if you have a stack, sometimes your feet come out, sometimes your feet don't.
So there's no quick release with these skis like in snow skis?
Oh, no chance.
Wayne Moore behind Cyclone, our race leader. He has about a 6 or 7 second gap on Steve Robinson. And this is developing into it. There he is, just taking his hand off the skis just to wipe his mouth and the goggles. So still fairly relaxed on the ski.
Looking ever so good there. And Wayne Moore, not exactly a big guy, but tell us, Danny, what sort of preparation does the likes of Wayne Moore do for these world titles?
Oh, mate, this guy would have been doing, I'd be guessing, but probably a couple of hours every morning in the gym, in the swimming pool, probably running hills. He's probably done a lot of high-level training where you go up on high mountains, where the altitude training, where the air and the oxygen is very, very thin, and then when they come back down to sea level, which is what they're at now, it's just so easy to to get the oxygen to your lungs, to get everything working really well. Mate, he's probably been doing an hour a day on the water at least, and it would be water exactly like this that he'd be training in.
So in 4th position we have the boat number 55 at the moment. And that's an excellent performance too. Behind Foxy, we have Carlo Casa from Italy. Now, you both have been talking about Carlo Casa, probably not in the best form of his career, but he's starting to perform here on Sydney Harbour. And that is probably a little bit deceptive, that head-on shot there too on our camera. So 5 to 7 seconds, but it really is a magnificent head-on shot here on Sydney Harbour. And once again, we've got to thank the National Parks and Wildlife Service for the best view in the house. And this really is magnificent. We have enjoyed it, and thank you very much to the service. Cyclone and Wayne Moore, our race leader at the moment, and this will give you a good shot of Wayne as he heads into the sun. As the sun starts to set in the west, is this going to be a little bit more difficult for the troops? There's the judge, in actual fact. This boat with Danny van der Ven from Belgium is in 5th position on the water at the moment.
That's right, Danny van der Ven, one of Belgium's top skiers, and actually finished in the bronze position of the 1995 World Championships. He's not up with the front runners today, but of course it's consistency which counts in these world titles, and there's still 2 rounds to go yet.
Well, unfortunately for Great Britain, Jamie Cramphorn has pulled out of the race. So under pressure, Jamie Cramphorn from Great Britain out, and he was running so well up there in 3rd spot for the first few minutes of this race. There it is, and that'll be tragedy for Jamie, because he was looking good in this race.
Barry Robertson waving Steve, his brother, on there. Come on, get up.
Oh, look, yeah.
There is another one in the water too.
Stinger from New Zealand.
So Stinger with Nick DeMay from New Zealand. He's in the water. A little spill there too. Well, here's our race leader at the moment, Cyclone, and he looks as though he stepped up a cock or two as he goes past the finish line once more. The boat in magnificent condition. And Danny, a big twin turbo job this?
Yeah, definitely. It's as far as I know, the limit on these boats are a 496 twin turbo, fuel injected, number 5 drive on nearly all these boats to take the horsepower.
And there it is, just coming back, Danny, interrupting for a second. It is 2 seconds the split between Wayne Moore, as some of our cables just fall off the roof here, and Steve Robinson. So only 2 seconds between the lead boats.
This will be Barry. Look at Barry's hand, he's waving and waving. I'll tell you what, every time Barry puts his hand in the air, you would get a chill down your back if you were Steve Robbo.
And Wayne Moore is about to get a bit of a thrill too as Firebird pulls up alongside.
Look at this, what a race this is turning into. Wayne Moore certainly getting under pressure now.
And let me tell you, this Firebird going around the outside has got to be going faster than Wayne Moore at the moment, because he's doing more distance. And you watch, Firebird will pull to the right-hand side of the screen now. Gives him a little bit more wash. He'll probably go outside here. He will lose a little bit, but he'll pick it up because he's going faster.
And Carlo Casa, the Italians, up in a third spot in our great race.
Go Carlo. That's the sting on the screen. Daniel Campbell right in front of us, and unfortunately he's gone in the water. I'd say he could have flicked with a wave here, because the waves are rolling across this corner, so they tend to roll over your boot. And there's another guy in the water beside him.
It really is a bad situation here, and what they've got to be careful of his lines getting
that's Todd Haig
in each other's boats. Todd Haig from the United States. Look at that, Todd Haig and Daniel Campbell so close to each other. They really are in such a situation. It looks as if we've possibly got an injury in the water here.
I would say so.
This is tremendous that we believe that is Daniel Campbell.
Yeah, there's blood in the water there. I'd say that Todd's had a bit of a fall. That looks like either Daniel with his helmet on, and we can't quite see who it is. But I hope these guys are all right. They're waving their flag, so that rescue boat will be down there in no time flat.
So Daniel Campbell has raced across there to help, and a nasty situation here. Would there be any situation if the injury was serious enough that they would stop the race?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. It depends if they are definitely on course, if there's ropes. As you can see, there's ropes everywhere in the water here. There's two boats around, so at least they're now protected by the other two boats, so they know exactly what's happening. As you can see, they're waving the flag. They definitely need help. As you can see, in front of us here, the rescue boat is coming around. There's another boat in front of us. They're actually floating to the outside of the course, so that might make it a little bit safer.
Really is an unfortunate situation here. Todd Haig, who was stepping in for his fellow countryman Marty Wells, who was injured in the first round, now being injured himself, and terrible situation to see down here.
Now, we've just heard too that a red flag is going to come out. I think that it is there. Now, we believe there is no doctor on course at the moment. Now, that doctor would have been attending the accident that we saw before. Now, what does the situation mean if the red flag comes out? We have had 57 minutes of race time. Will they declare the race at this spot?
Yes, because I think it's 75% is the actual race, and Wayne's taken the victory, I'd say, by the looks of that. They've put the red flags out on the course, so that's the end of it. What happens is, I'd say that last accident was pretty bad, and someone's had to do something about it.
Provisional placings in the second race of the Men's World Championship in 1997. Wayne Moore from Australia first, Steve Robinson from Australia second, and the Italian Carlo Casa in third place. Near tragedy on the stunning waterways of Sydney Harbour, but Daniel Campbell was to make steady improvement over the next few weeks. But it gave the Aussies even more incentive to continue their blitz.
This has been another presentation of NBN's Wide World of Sports.
3 races, 3 world titles for Australia, and no one was game to bet against the Pocket Dynamo from Queensland. Wayne Moore and the crew of Cyclone had been head and shoulders above everyone else in the first 2 rounds of the World Championship, and he was a determined young man as he set about building up a sizable lead. The conditions suited him handsomely, and he careered away. Mechanical failure the only thing that would rob him of victory on day 3. Not a problem for Moore and Cyclone, and Australia claimed its 4th world title on the day, and the tears flowed freely.
It's a tough race, mate. That was hard. I'd say it was one of the hardest races I've done, especially with Steve Robinson behind me, and not knowing where Darren Kirkland was. We just had to go for it.
And how's your training going for it?
Yeah, I was good out there. I wasn't getting tired. You know, my concentration was getting a bit slow. But I think that was just from pounding around.
After the break, the 4th and final round on the stunning waterways of Newcastle. And they're racing in the final race of the 10th International Water Skiing Federation World Ski Racing Championships. This is the men's race, and this should be a very, very exciting race indeed too. Wayne Moore from Queensland has already wrapped up the world title, but he is looking for 4 wins off 4 races, and he is on the right of your screen there, away to a flying start. In the centre of your screen is Stephen Robinson behind Firebird, and Corey Cook in the USA behind the Wells Craft. for these two Australians, with Steve Robinson just leading the way off to a flying start. They'll be followed by Carlo Casser of Italy, Mika Robin of Belgium and Greg Anderson of the United States. Next grid, John Clements from Great Britain, Kane Everett from New Zealand, Tom Clarenbeek from the Netherlands, Nick de May of New Zealand, Frank Cordurge of France and Darren Kirkland of Great Britain. Now, big race here today for Darren Kirkland because he will be looking for a high place here to be able to finish third in the World Championship overall. Then we have Nico Ulok of Belgium, of South Africa, I should say, David Conti of Italy, Jamie Cramphorn of Great Britain, Peter Bertels of Belgium, then Cici Elion of France, John Scott of New Zealand, and Patrick Baldock of Canada and Paul Robertson, Australia. But these two heading away very, very quickly is Wayne Moore and Steve Robinson. Robbie Llewellyn joining us in commentary and Chris Rafferty, and this should be a great race. Wayne Moore has been really the form skier of the championships along with Leanne Brown.
That's right, Mike. Wayne Moore proving himself to be a phenomenal ski racer. Of course, we can see Stephen Robertson now putting the pressure on Wayne. He has been quite close in two of the races, but hasn't performed well enough to actually steal the glory from Wayne. He's certainly going to be pulling out all the stops today, however. And
I do believe that this may very well be Wayne Moore's last ski race. The rumour is circulating. Chris Rafferty, he really, and he's just waving up there again, that he has dominated these championships, and gee, aren't they pulling some speed here on Newcastle Harbour?
Yes, the conditions are absolutely perfect here today. The water, I haven't seen Newcastle Harbour quite so flat, so the skis are really turning on the pressure, and yeah, I'm sure Wayne wants to make it another victory today. He's skied absolutely brilliantly for the whole series, and it's great to see him out the front again.
I think one of the things we can say is the crew of Cyclone, they've looked after Wayne as well. He's taken the lead, and they haven't pushed him too far. They've just hung on to the lead. Look at the control that he goes around that bend with, waving up again.
Now, we've just heard from the crew also with a comment that we made that this may very well be his last race. They flatly deny the fact that this will be his last race, so we could very well see him. He's only a youngster, but he's dominated these World Championships.
It would be a shame to lose somebody like Wayne from the sport, and it would be great to see him go on and try to win another world title. He's won 3 races already, and if he can win a 4th today, that'll be some achievement in a world title event.
There they are, Firebird in shot there, and Steve Robinson would love nothing more to go out with a victory today.
I know his father, all his father wants is the #1 spot. All that counts to his father is first position. And the family team of Barry and Johnny Robertson in the boat, and Steve Robertson on the back there, is certainly going all out to try and steal victory from Wayne Moore today.
Johnny Scott from New Zealand, and the Kiwis have done pretty well.
Yeah, they've showed themselves to be quite a force in ski racing out here. They've certainly brought a number of competitors out with them, and it's good to see them circulating around. The Syndicate, another Australian boat's been towing one of their skiers, and they've just been circulating there. They're always in there and getting up in minor placings as well.
Now this is the 222. This is the man that we wanted to have a look at, Darren Kirkland from Great Britain. And Robbie, this man can grab third outright.
That's right. He hasn't had the event which he expected to have at these world titles. Wayne Moore has been in front and dominated these races. There's a great shot of Darren there. All he's looking to do now is finish in a safe 3rd spot. This is his 7th world titles, and the first time that if he does finish in the 3rd position, this is the first time he will have finished in the frame.
Here he is, our race leader, Wayne Moore from Queensland, and he's put in the hard work, Chris. You know, to prepare for something like this, you have 4 races within the space of a week. You've got to work hard at this, and Wayne Moore certainly done the work on the water as well as off the water.
Yeah, it's certainly a credit to all these athletes. None of these races have been easy. The water conditions down in Sydney were pretty choppy, and for them to back up again today in skiing, and whilst it's a lot smoother here today, it's still pretty hard work for those guys, so they're all superb athletes to be out there.
Now Firebird has just gone past us too. That's Wayne Moore in shot there. Firebird sounding less than 100% at the moment, so and the gap's starting to widen between Wayne Moore, who really is trying to put the foot down. He's waved up 3 or 4 times already, but the gap between Cyclone and also this is the big Wells craft with Corey Cook aboard, and Firebird is certainly starting to stretch. Corey Cook skiing a great race today.
He is. Corey's a very accomplished skier in the United States, been skiing for a long time. He hasn't been up amongst the front runners, but of course he's doing America proud and putting up a good performance out there today.
There it is, and a vastly different boat from what we see out here, Chris.
Yes, they're a much wider, very beamy boat. They're big, heavy, wide boats, and I think that's because of the conditions that they generally ski in America. And the Hallett boats are just such a beamy boat. We've not seen anything like them out here as far as manufacture is concerned.
There's Foxy, the Belgian boat pulling the Italian skier Carlo Casa. Carlo's not had the best of World Championships. He's had a silver medal in 2 previous World Championships, and he's had a bad year with a knee injury and an ankle injury. So I think he'll be looking forward to the next World. There's Darren Kirkland coming on the outside of Carlo there.
And Carlo Casa had a podium finish in the Sydney Harbour event, and that really was his water. And he should be enjoying these waters here today, but he just can't get on the pace.
No, I think he doesn't have his mind in the right frame, to be honest with you, Mike. He's just looking to go out there and finish today. He did have a third the other day. He wasn't quite happy with that because he was fair way down on the front runners, which was called Steve Robertson and Wayne Moore.
That is Carlo Casa, and just a different shot of the style that the Europeans tend to adopt, more so than the very crouched style that Wayne Moore has. He's only a little fellow, Wayne Moore, but that suits him. A fairly upright stand, the Europeans. Chris?
Yes, I would have thought, I think our crouch down style comes from the high speed. The fact that our guys do so much high speed water skiing, they do have to stay low because it's a real effort once you get up to speed to keep that piece of timber out in front of you. So if you do have a bit of an erect style, it's very easy for you to just go straight over the nose of the ski. So I think that's probably due to our high speed racing, that the Australians do seem to get down more on their haunches.
Talking about styles, Chris, one thing I can't help but notice is Wayne Moore's style, very reminiscent of the very first world champion from Australia, who took the title back in 1979. Wayne gives an up there. Wayne Ritchie from Victoria won the first world title, but another diminutive skier.
He is absolutely flying Cyclone. He's just going past the finish line now. He really is hooked up. He just waved up. He wants to get out of that traffic, and I think the crew have driven superbly all the week for Wayne Moore. They just put him in the right hole every time.
That's right. These front runners, they are going around at such a fast pace that they do tend to pass a lot of boats, and that's when it comes down to the driver making a good road through the traffic in front. And the Cyclone crew really seem to have done that well, and they can gain some valuable ground with some clever driving. Great view of some of the boats coming up the course there. As you can see, the conditions chopping up quite a bit now from the washes from the boats, and there's a shot of Cyclone, as you can see, flying out of the water a little bit. A few waves for Wayne Moore to contend with there, but in total control of everything.
One of the things that I've been amazed with during the championships is been the reliability of the machinery. When you talk about championships and there's these sort of championships and the pace they travel at, sometimes you have quite a few breakdowns, but so far in the championships the reliability's been wonderful.
Yes, unfortunately, a few of the American boats have had a few engine troubles today, but generally, for 4 days of really hard racing, the machinery has hung in together pretty well. So it is a credit to all the various mechanics involved with all the crews to keep these boats pedalling around, all of them going pretty hard, putting in big efforts, and for 4 days of consistent racing, it is a good effort.
I think we have to mention the fact that its preparation is vital in ski racing. Preparation of the skier, his training, and of course preparation of the boat, which has to pull him to his victories. So we've had an example of perfect preparation by the Cyclone team this week. Observer Martin Brooks there. As we can see, Darren adopting the style a little bit different to a lot of observer Martin Brooks there. As we can see, Darren adopting the style a little bit different to a lot of Australian skiers, but that comes from skiing in the ocean waters of England.
Now we have at this stage Cyclone out in front with Firebird in second, and we do believe it's a good battle here between number 222 on your screen, Darren Kirkland, and the World's Craft of Corey Cook.
I'm sure you'll find too that Darren Kirkland's crew will be trying to keep an eye on their opposition in Firebird, and if they know that they were within a sniff of taking second place off Firebird, they'll be giving Darren all the encouragement they can. get him up there.
You often find that in racing such as this, that one crew will drag another one through, separating that gap between third and fourth as we see here, and it really is a race within a race happening out on the water.
That's right. I think down on the No Mercy crew, they went out on that water today. Their main aim is to get a bronze medal. But now they can see Steve Robertson in their sights. That's a little bit of extra motivation to perhaps pull out all the stops and maybe snap up second place.
We'll get a split for you between first and second, and that gap has narrowed considerably from the gap that it was 1.5 laps ago. It was a minute. Now the gap looks as though it could be very well only about a half a minute. So maybe the Firebird crew have sensed a matter of urgency here. They really want to give it a fly on these last 25 minutes. And that gap now really coming down dramatically. Whether Cyclone have just backed off a little bit or what, we're not 100% certain. But that gap now is 28.76 seconds.
This Firebird going on the inside of Missile and John Scott from New Zealand.
We did see Steve Robinson wave up there a moment ago.
I think too that whilst Darren Kirkland's crew's looking at catching Firebird, Firebird's crew's obviously looking at Darren Kirkland catching them. So any chance of that happening, then Firebird crew will be pushing Stephen and making sure that he skis to his maximum ability there to keep his second spot on the podium.
Yeah, Chris, I think that with these grid situations and these world titles, it really places a lot of importance with the crews. They have to keep an eye on the other boats in the races who started on different grids.
That's exactly right, and it's not all that easy out there. You've got to look after your skier, so your eyes have really got to be focused on your skier, but you just can't ignore what else is happening around you. It would be just so frustrating to know that your skier was comfortable and could have gone that extra mile an hour, and to be just pipped off a place on the podium. So yes, you're exactly right. They've got to take in the whole racing situation and drive and ski accordingly.
This is our race leader. You can see him getting up out of the water. Wayne Moore from Queensland behind Cyclone, coming down around the Brewery Bend now, heading into the main straight, and not a great deal of this race left. They have skied superbly. You can see the conditions on each corner really starting to chop up. The Robinson boys and Firebird are tending to close a little bit, and maybe 4 rugged races starting to take its toll on Cyclone, but it still looks very deep and very comfortable out in front.
Yeah, looking ever so good. The Cyclone boat, and look at him, Wayne Moore there. He's yet another Queenslander who's won a world title. The likes of Mark Pickering were from Queensland. Ian Dipple originated from Queensland. Certainly the Queensland waters seems to produce some top ski racers.
But he did go out into the harbour of the ocean outside of Cairns to try and get some rough water experience, because again, up there it can be fairly flat at times, so he's done the preparation.
Yes, there's certainly no doubt about his dedication and preparation, and he's just put in a 2-minute 10-second time on that lap, so he's not backed off any at all. To be circulating at that speed, when he started the race he was doing 2:05, 2:06s, and now he's doing a 2:10, so he, with considerations of traffic, he's not backed off.
27 seconds the split between first and second. Now there's a fair bit of talk and arm waving going on in the boats. Now Steve waved his arm there before. What's going on with Firebird?
Steve gave a very firm up to his crew. He wasn't happy that he wasn't getting the speed. There was a bit of communication there with the arms going in the Firebird boat. I don't know whether they've got mechanical problems, but there's certainly no harmony going on there at the moment.
They're all waving their hands, Barry specifically.
I don't know whether that signal from Barry was that we're already flat with his arms outstretched like that, meaning that he was flat out. I'm not sure. Let's hope that the boat isn't going to slow Steve down. 46
seconds between that man there and Steve Robinson, currently in second place. That's Darren Kirkland and his crew, and they've had a great race here, the 4th and final leg of the 10th IWSF World Waterski Racing Championships. And coming into his own here, he's been around for some time, and he'll be very, very happy with his placing here today. But the battle still goes on. Thumbs up from his crew. They'll be pretty happy with the way they've gone. What will the overseas crews take out of this? Will they look at the machinery? Will they look at the type of boat that's being used?
Mike, I think it's the all-round professionalism of the Cyclone team. It's the preparation which has gone into that boat, the preparation which has gone into the athlete, which is Wayne Moore on the back there. And I think all teams really should take this as a great example of a way forward to success in ski racing.
Yes, just looking at Wayne on the screen there, he's just a superb athlete. He's skiing exceptionally well, and he knows he's under pressure from the other guys. The other guys are still circulating there, but he's just keeping up a relentless 2-minute, 10-second laps, just relentless speed in these sort of conditions. So he's certainly a superb athlete, and I think the Europeans, all the visitors here will take their hats off to a young fellow who's really dedicated his last number of months to this event.
To be able to circulate at these such consistent speeds, the driver be looking at his tacho, just having it on the amount of revs that he needs to run that sort of time?
Yes, well, he'll know now what speed that Wayne will be able to ski at for the varying water conditions, and I dare say there are parts of the track, probably running down the far side, he'll be going a little bit quicker. So he'll know that, yes, through this corner I'm going through at this speed, and he likes that. And after a few laps, the skiers and the communication between the skier and the observer becomes minimal. It's only every now and then when the water conditions might change rapidly that they'll need to start signalling.
I just had a look at the number 15 going past here, which is the hooker. No, it's not. I'll pick him up in just a second. Stinger with Nick DeMay from New Zealand. He was frantically waving up, so he's enjoying his last race too. But there's Firebird.
Robertson crew doing a fine job there. Of course, they pulled their brother Paul to a world title back in '91. A lot of experience behind them, and of course, the crews in these boats so vital to these skiers' successes in these races. And of course, fine example in the cyclone team there.
Well, here it is, the boys from Queensland. They've just put the foot down, Chris, because that time now, the split between first and second has got out to 44 seconds. So all of a sudden, the little challenge was coming, and the crew just waved up. There is when we have a skier in the water, I believe, have we?
Yes, that's a boat's dropped a skier.
Unfortunately, I think that's the Foxy boat from Belgium. That's Carlo Casa. He's taken a fall. It looks as if he's out of the race.
So down towards the last set of turns at Brewery. The course announcers here would be championing his cause. It's just coming past some slower traffic. You can see that ski still working very, very hard. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually waves up here to say, I really want to go home in a flurry. He's on the inside. The other boats go to the outside. And Wayne Moore now puts the foot to the floor. The support crew start to celebrate. They've already wrapped up the world title on Botany Bay, but they've done it in style here. Robbie Llewellyn and Chris Rafferty, you're seeing a champion.
Yes, indeed. This is a brilliant effort from Wayne Moore. As we see him receiving the checkered flag here, that's a great effort, Wayne.
Just a tremendous performance, and it really has been a pleasure to watch this athlete ski.
Robbie Llewellyn and Chris Rafferty, thank you very much. We are watching an absolute champion. He's celebrating the 1997 World Ski Racing Champion, Wayne Moore. Provisional placings in the fourth and final race of the Men's Championship for 1997. Wayne Moore, Australia first. Steve Robinson, Australia second. And Darren Kirkland, Great Britain third. As history will show, the host nation totally dominated the 10th World Waterski Racing Championships, winning each division and the team's trophy. However, there was plenty of encouraging signs that the rest of the world is learning quickly. Overall, a great championship, touched with plenty of drama and, above all, brilliant skiing by the Aussies.
This has been another presentation of NBN's Wide World of Sports.